Hey y'all, welcome back to another hunting ammo ballistics gel test. By heavy request today, I've got the Hornady Custom 165 grain FTX bullet in 350 Legend. And here is the box for your Hornady Custom 165 grain FTX load for the 350 Legend. Let's flip it around to the back. There's no real promo information on these custom line boxes, just some general info. Looking right here, we have our muzzle velocity stated at 2,200 feet per second. We'll see how close we get to that from the 16-inch barrel of my Ruger American Ranch. Let's go ahead and pop this thing open and take a look at the ammo itself. Pulling it out, comes in your standard black plastic ammo holder. Let's whip one out and take a look. And there is your 165 grain flex tip bullet. Let's go shoot it and see how it does. And my test rifle today is my Ruger American Ranch, chambered in 350 Legend, of course. It's got a 16-inch barrel up top. I've got a Vortex Crossfire 2 scope. And coming on back, I've got one of my 20-round magazine cuffs. You pop that open, you got a 20-round magazine close at hand right there. Really helps turn the Ruger American Ranch into the perfect truck gun, camp gun, anything you could need it for. Coming around to the other side, I've got my white-tailed deer design on this one. Check out my website, masonleather.com. I would absolutely love to make you one. I will link it in the description and in the pinned comment. And real quick, if you're watching this video anytime around when it came out, I'm having a huge sale on my website, masonleather.com. Go check it out and get yourself something. We'll be taking 3 shots from 100 yards, firing into 10% ballistics gel that has been calibrated to meet the FBI's ballistics testing protocol. And while ballistics gel isn't an exact proxy for big game, it does provide a repeatable medium through which to test various bullets and ammo against each other. After the shots, we'll examine bullet expansion, weight retention, penetration, and velocity. My goal is to provide hunters like you and I with the most objective information possible to help us make the best choice for our particular hunting situation. The ballistics gel in this video has been sourced from Clear Ballistics. You can find a link in the description. So let's go ahead and shoot it. And here are your velocities for that Hornady Custom 165 grain FTX load out of the 350 Legend. Minimum 2232, max 2249, or 2242 rather, for an average of 2236. And we are down here at the blocks after shooting that Hornady Custom 165 grain flex tip load out of the 350 Legend. We got some deep penetration, which is sort of the norm for 350 Legend. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. We got 1, 2, and then the third bullet is right there. Penetration wise, it looks like we got 27.5 inches. This second one is at about, we'll give that 28.5 inches, and the third one is right about kissing 30 inches of penetration. So if nothing else, these things do go pretty deep. And it looks like they held together for the most part. That one right there, it's a little cloudy and tough to see, but it did break up some. This one, a lot of the front of that bullet is gone, and the same for that deepest one right there. And coming on over to the first block, I flipped this on its side so we can see the wound tracks a little bit better. This block has some bubbles in it. No big deal. I got to work with what I got here. It looks like our expansion starts at about the 2-inch mark, 1 3/4 to 2 inches, expands out and then tapers off really by about the 6 to 7 inch mark. And it's a little tough to see in this particular block, but just not really a very impressive impact wound here, which is par for the course for 350 Legend. You usually don't get a whole bunch of trauma up front out of this cartridge. And we've got chunks of bullet here. There's a big chunk of jacket. There's little bits of lead and copper all through here. So we'll go ahead and dig these out and take a look. All right, y'all, let's get into it with that 350 Legend Hornady Custom load with the 165 grain FTX bullet. First, we're going to go ahead and hit weight retention. We saw 131, 132, and 134 grains for an average of about 132 grains, and that's 80% weight retention. So not bad for a cup and core bullet that's not bonded. I can't really fault it there. And then on to expansion. Now, the expansion on these bullets wasn't super uniform. Some bullets, you see it all the way around the circumference. It's nice and even. These are kind of jagged. They had chunks that were a little bit more expanded than others. Not very uniform expansion. Nevertheless, we saw 0.6 inches, 0.62 inches, and 0.67 inches for an average of about 0.63 inches expanded diameter. And that works out to 1.8x expansion overall. But again, sort of a caveat, it's not real uniform expansion. So make of that what you will. But it didn't do bad. And honestly, it's kind of on par with what I've seen from other FTX bullets in different cartridges. They kind of expand a little bit erratically. And now on to velocity. Our high velocity was 2243, our low was 2232 for an average of 2237. Look at that, only an 11 foot per second spread. If nothing else, this stuff was loaded precisely versus the factory build velocity of 2200 feet per second. So this stuff came in 37 feet per second faster than box spec. Hey, it's always nice to see. And keep in mind, we're shooting this stuff through a 16-inch barreled Ruger American Ranch, so we don't have, a real long single-shot barrel or something to wring all this velocity out of. It's just nice and hot. And then the estimated velocity at impact at 100 yards is about 1,946 feet per second. And then penetration-wise, we got nice deep penetration, which is sort of par for the course for 350 Legend. We saw 27.5, 28.5, and 30 inches respectively for an average of about 29 inches of penetration, which is really, really good. Honestly, it's deeper than you need for most of your medium game hunting and gives you a little bit of confidence if you need to go through some stuff. And that's sort of what you get with 350 Legend. You get that deep penetration, not so much expansion. There's always a trade-off. And then on to kinetic energy with a 165 grain bullet going on average 2,237 feet per second. We're looking at 1,833 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. That's about par for the course for most 350 Legend hunting ammo that I've tested. It's a little bit on the high end. Some of them come in quite a bit lower than that. I'm definitely happy with that. And then the estimated kinetic energy at impact at 100 yards is about 1,387 foot-pounds, just to know what you're getting once the bullet gets there. And a quick announcement before we get to my final thoughts: if you'd like early access to my videos weeks and even months in advance of everyone else, become a channel member. The links will be in the video description and the pinned comment. Thanks, y'all. Alright, y'all, it's time for my final thoughts on that Hornady Custom 165 grain FTX load out of the 350 Legend. Looking across the metrics that this bullet provided, this load rather, I can't really fault it anywhere. Expansion is the one place I wish it would do a little bit better, but that seems to be sort of par for the course for the FTX bullet across cartridges and calibers. Doesn't seem to be ultra uniform, but it did expand some. We had pretty good weight retention, 80%, excellent velocity, we beat box spec, and then sort of par for the course for 350 Legend, nice deep penetration. So at the end of the day, would I use this ammo? Well, I mean, if my rifle shot it particularly well, I wouldn't have a problem using it. I wouldn't feel hindered using it. Personally, for me, I would pick some other stuff just to get a better balance of performance. But really, this stuff hit all the marks. I don't see any problems with it. If you've used the Hornady Custom 165 grain FTX load in your 350 Legend, let me and everybody else know how it did in the comments. And check out my website, masonleather.com, and get yourself some leather gear handmade by me just for you. I've been handcrafting leather gear for hunters for over a decade, and I would love to make you something. And there are hundreds of reviews on my website, so you can see what real hunters have to say about their Mason leather gear. And also tons of photos showing all the customizable options, including name, initial, and caliber stamping, as well as wild game designs and more. Everything is handmade by me right here in the USA. I would love to be a part of your hunt through my leather gear. And it helps support this channel, so I can bring you more hunting ammo ballistics gel tests, and lots of other cool stuff in the future. The link will be in the video description and the pinned comment, or you can just type masonleather.com into your web browser, and click one of these cards for more hunting ammo ballistics gel tests.